Hi everyone, today is day 30 of my carnivore challenge, a goal that I set for myself. I just want to give you an update on how it's been, how I've felt, any improvements that I've had, if I'm going to continue, and a little bit of why I actually did it. So I first came across Carnivore a few years ago, and I saw an interview with Jordan Peterson, who mentioned that he'd been on a carnivore diet. And that it had significantly helped his daughter with arthritis, which rang a bell with me because that's the same condition that my wife suffers from. And he said that she'd really seen some positive benefits and that he'd seen benefits himself, reducing his anxiety levels and things like that. So I was a bit skeptical because we've all been indoctrinated into healthy foods, vegetables, you've got to have your 5 a day, fruit, all that type of stuff. And LDL cholesterol, red meat's going to kill you. So I did a little bit of research on it, but it kind of fell by the wayside a little bit for a while. So my journey really began a few years ago. I was left work 10 years ago to be my wife's full-time carer, and during that time my wife's parents became ill, so I moved them in with me as well, and I started to care for them, and things were good for quite a while, and then until her mother unfortunately developed lung cancer and dementia at the same time. Very, very difficult time to deal with, and I loved her like she was my own mother. And unfortunately, she passed away in terrible circumstances, and it really, really affected me. But I kept trying to go on, for my wife, for my kids, and for Terry, her husband as well. Then not long after Mary died, the pandemic hit. Everybody was locked down, and everyone knows the uncertainty of what happened with that, and everyone was scared and frightened, and the media was, well, let's leave it at that, shall we? You all know. So during the lockdowns, about a few months after we'd lost Mary, I lost one of my dogs, and then 3 months later I lost another dog, and then a few months after that, Terry began to develop serious health conditions where he needed 24-hour care, and he was getting dementia as well, and it was a full-time job for me to care for him, bathe him, all that type of stuff. I'm not going into too much detail. Started to put a bit of a strain on mine and my wife's relationship in some ways, and then when this happened, I lost another dog, and then my baby sister developed breast cancer again for the second time, and all this was happening all within short increments, and I could feel myself going down a bit of a rabbit hole, and then Terry became seriously ill and ended up in hospital, where unfortunately he passed away as well. And all these losses and the stress that came with it all was too much for me, and I had a bit of a nervous breakdown, if I'm honest. And I luckily found a really, really good counsellor, a therapist, and in the beginning stages, I look back now, that was about 2 years ago, it was tough. It was a really tough time. Then anxiety developed into health anxiety, or hypochondria, as people used to call it. So I was battling that. Then I had an old back injury from weight training that ended up trapping a nerve and caused chronic pain all down my left leg. So this was a series of events that happened, and then I lost another dog. So it was 4 dogs in total that I'd lost in the space of a year. My sister has had an operation, and touch wood, she's making a pretty decent recovery now, but at the time it was very, very stressful. Then as I battled health anxiety and chronic anxiety and the chronic pain which developed into, so during this time, with my wife's conditions as well, which she started with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. She was diagnosed when she was 3. Her, with all the upset and losing her parents, started to make her condition worse, and she started noticing strange vision in her right eye. So we went to the hospital to have it checked out, and they said that they thought there was a tumour there, or some kind of growth. So obviously we instantly panicked, thought it was, when you hear the word tumour, you think it's the worst case scenario, and with all the bad things that are happening, we thought we were cursed. We thought, this is it. So I then took a bit of a back turn again, which didn't help my wife very much. But luckily, and I say luckily, that it wasn't cancer, but it's still a serious condition. She had what's called a vasoproliferative lesion, which is a growth inside her eye, which was causing her vision to be distorted, and they had to do something to sort it out. They didn't want to operate because it's a very, very rare condition. So they put some steroid injections into her eye. That didn't work. Then they tried to laser it, which caused the tumour to shrink, but it was attached to a retina and causing a retinal detachment as well. So that was another thing to add on top of that. So she's had 2 eye surgeries, and currently she's just resting at the moment. It looks like they've removed most of the lesion and they've got most of the retina reattached, but it's going to be about a year before they can remove the oil from her eye to see what kind of vision she's going to have left. So all this is stress on top of everything. And then during one of my down days, I was watching YouTube, and I came across the video again of Jordan Peterson was talking to Joe Rogan, and I thought, I've tried everything else. I've tried meditation, I've tried breathing techniques, I'm doing therapy, which, the therapy helped a little bit, but I still felt I was in the bottom of a hole, and I'd have anxiety attacks out of nowhere, all the classic symptoms, chest pains, headaches, vision problems, you're always worst case scenario, headaches, a brain tumour, you're about to have a heart attack. I'll go into more detail on things like that in a future video for anybody who may be interested. So I thought, I'm going to give this a try, but I need to do my research. And so I did lots and lots of research first. It's just my nature. Found a lot of conflicting information out there, and but they all generally basically said the same thing, that it's an elimination diet, that the foods that we're eating are not good for us and can cause hormonal imbalances, and people have benefited from chronic pain conditions, balancing the hormones for anxiety and depression problems. So I thought, right, balls to it, I'm going to try it, which didn't go down very well with my wife because she's a strict vegan, which I'll go into another video because it's caused a bit of an interesting dynamic, that one has. So I found a good local butcher, made a good deal with him. I buy all my food from him, and I just started on the very basic of beef, butter, bacon and eggs, and water and salt. Now initially I was hopeful but skeptical, because there's still the old indoctrination of everything we've been taught in school, especially my generation, Gen X, of what's good for you, what's bad for you, eating fat is going to give you a heart attack and all this stuff, which played on my mind, probably more than it should have, but it was probably because of the anxiety and the health anxiety that I was still dealing with. So I went cold turkey, straight into it. Found I love meat and butter and bacon and eggs, who doesn't? But it was finding the right proportion. The first early days were a bit difficult because it's trying to eat and find your hunger trigger signals and things like that. And then I had a few electrolyte issues, and I think was electrolyte issues. So then I do occasionally take electrolytes when I'm feeling a bit off and down, but I have noticed that has slowly started to subside. Whether it's become, whether you call it fats adapted or something like that, I'm not sure, but you know, time will tell. So what benefits have benefited me? Well, I can happily say that my anxiety is about 90% better within 30 days, which is amazing. I don't have the sense of dread all day. You know, I still get moments, and I can easily get stressed out, which can trigger an anxiety, but it doesn't last nowhere near as long. But I don't live day to day just dreading, which in itself is fantastic. I did also start to notice a reduce in the pain in my lower back and my leg, which then gave me a bit of confidence to start a stretch and strengthening routine, which I've been doing for about 2 weeks, mainly core, leg, hip exercises, things like that, mobility, stretching, which has helped a lot to strengthen my lower back, which I think is obviously the main cause of my problem. I've got like a deviation in my spine from an injury. So strengthening my spinal muscles up and my glutes and my legs. The pain's not 100% gone, but it's, I would say at the moment, within a month, 30 days, I would say it's 50% better. So they're the benefits that benefited me. Am I going to continue? I think I'm going to go and try 90 days now, and see what more improvements I get, and then I will reassess. I'll still stick to carnivore diet, I think, but I may start introducing different foods because I do miss them, and I think there's a bit of a zealotry. Like there's a lot of militant vegans out there, and this seems to start getting a lot of militant carnivore people as well. But what I will say, I'm dealing on both sides, from the vegan side from my wife, and the carnivore side. The carnivore people seem to be a lot more friendlier and seem to be a lot more scientific in their approach, even though there's odd one or two that do, you know, have some strange ideas. You got to eat raw and all this stuff. So I don't think we need to be that extreme, but who knows, time will tell. So anyway, that's my journey, up to date, day 30, and more videos I'll be bringing out on what I actually eat in a day, more updates on my thought processes, the anxiety, the chronic pain that I've had for a year and a half, and day-to-day stuff as well, as it's just the type of person. Like I say, I don't do this for a job. I already have a full-time job, which is my wife's carer. I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. It's just, I thought maybe some person may watch this one day and think, you know, I'm in a similar boat. I might give it a try, and the information's there for them. So hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you all later. Bye.